Catches, puts up a three. One go. Rebound box.
Now head over in this direction. Gone to three.
Tie game with 5 seconds remaining. The impossible has happened.
Pass is intercepted at the goal line by Malcolm Butler.
Anthony for three. Puts it in. Bridges. Oh my God. Oh, what? Oh, blocked by James. LeBron James with the rejection. Curry way downtown. Bang! Bang!
And we're back. What's going on, guys? Welcome back to Cam's Corner. Today, joining me is a freshman forward from Southern New Hampshire University, Aaron Gray. Aaron, thank you for joining me and welcome to the show, man.
Thank you for having me, man.
No problem. I know you haven't met me before or, seen me before, but I graduated from Johnston here in Rhode Island in 2020. I'm a Rhode Island native just like yourself, played basketball my whole life. Grateful to talk to all these Rhode Island natives that are making something out of the career at the college level like yourself, like you have been. Have you ever been interviewed or had a sit down at a podcast before?
Yeah, I've had a few.
Yeah. Were they all Rhode Island based or were they closer to where you're at right now?
Some Rhode Island based, some, from New Hampshire, some in the Mass area.
Yeah. You're from Providence, Rhode Island. What parts of Providence did you grow up in? And where did you find yourself on the court first as far as your middle school days?
So I'm originally from Providence, from the north side of Providence. But really it started for me, rec basketball over at South Providence Rec Center. That's where it really started. I really didn't grow too much of an interest in basketball in my family. Uncles, they all played. And, it was it's just a family thing. So, that's the only way I really grew interest from it. But football was honestly my first love.
So did you play any other sports besides football and basketball, or was it just those two?
My mom put me in everything. She put me in baseball, soccer, basketball, football, you name it, I played it. She was very adamant about just getting out the house and being active and, making new friends and all that. So
exactly. So when did a full passion for basketball really start? Playing all those sports growing up.
Basketball really didn't start growing on me until about my freshman year of high school. I didn't really grow a love for it till then. Like I said, football was my first love. And when I started off at Paul Cuffey, and Paul Cuffey didn't have a football team. So, that kind of hurt me a lot, letting go of football. It was basically the girl next door just moved away from me. So it was hard. So
right. So you said your mom kind of introduced you to all sports growing up and stuff like that?
Yeah, my mom's, my uncles, even my grandfather, that was my dad too. He was, they're all big on sports, all big on, just doing something extra than, being outside doing the wrong thing.
So when did you, start taking, you said high school was when you started taking basketball, truly serious?
Yeah, that's when I didn't have football anymore. So that's when I just, started to take basketball a lot more serious. I played AAU.
Yeah.
Middle school. But I liked it. It's just something that you just play, you having fun with it, but I didn't really go love for it till about my freshman year.
Right. So who would you say would be your biggest influence through the whole process, growing up, before you got, your name out there more?
There's a lot of guys, especially Ricky Lito, he was a big inspiration for me. When you see somebody like that, go as far as he did and, still doing the things that he loves to do, Rakim Sanders, my cousin Tommy Garrick, he was big on, that was probably my closest influence as far as playing basketball. He played at St. Andrews, he played with Michael Carter Williams, he also played with Ricky Lito as well. So I would always go to the games and, just sitting courtside watching them play, and the passion that they had and the love for the game that they had kind of started to grow on me a little bit. And, I would say that's really the main influence. And then just, going to camps like Camp Arrow.
Right.
He's a big part of my growth, I would say. Corey Wright, another person, big part of my growth. My cousin Anton Gray, another big part of my growth. These are just guys that, saw something in me that I didn't really see in myself, and they pushed me along, and it's got me to where I'm at today.
So you've been around the pro level since you were a little kid, just watching these guys grow up.
Yeah, honestly, just going to those camps and being around those kind of guys and being in workouts with those kind of guys, it just you have no choice but to.
Yeah, exactly. You grow a passion just watching them play. Did you have any like family members that were at like those kinds of levels, like playing like collegiate or?
My uncle Tommy, he played in the NBA. He coached URI. He actually played at URI. Yeah, I don't remember if it was the Sweet 16 or the Elite Eight. That I went to, and yeah, my aunt Kyoka, she played at University of Harvard for 4 years. I
Wow.
watched her play throughout her career, and basketball is just in my blood, really. I
Yeah.
watched Anton. He played at Rick for 4 years. Um, Hall of Fame, 1,000-point scorer. So that stuff just really sticks with you.
Right. So going back to like the camps you talked about, like Camp Arrow and stuff like that, were there any other camps that you got yourself involved in that kind of helped you like prepare for like middle school and high school and then not like where you're at right now?
I would say Camp Arrow.
Yep.
Lamont Thomas had his camps as well. Those camps that I've always been at. But I think that really they set the foundation for me between Calvin, Corey, Lamont, my cousin Antone, even my cousin Duda. Like those guys, they set the foundation for me, and that allowed me to branch off and to go to those Elite 75 camps, the hoop group camps. Like they set that foundation for me, along with my mom and my family and stuff that kept me on the right path. But those guys, I would say, they set the foundation for me.
Right. So I used to actually go to Camp Arrow when I was in like my freshman year of high school, sophomore year of high school. So I know Calvin, not obviously not as well as you do, but I played with David Duke and like Cole Swider and all those kind of guys. Obviously don't have like the relation that you do, but what is it like now for you to see them at the level that they're at? Obviously David Duke, he's playing with the Nets, Cole Swider's at Syracuse, Sebastian Thomas, he's at URI, Erickson, he's with Bryant. Like what is it like to see them now and to see like where you're at now, like in that like kind of perspective?
And it's amazing just watching those guys, perform the way they are. Especially David came a long way.
Mm-hmm.
He's somebody that I look up to as well. As almost as well with Cole and Erickson. Like those guys, they just grinded. Like that's all it came down to. They just kept their head down and just grinded. And that just goes to show you, no matter where you're from. Like everybody talk about how little Rhode Island is, but no matter where you're from, if you put your head down and you stay on the grind, a lot of things can happen. And I think for David, the best thing that has happened for him, people who talk about, going undrafted and stuff, but he's just one of those type of people that when you keep your head down and you just keep on pushing and the opportunity come knocking, you see what happens,
Right. The opportunity kind of fell right into his lap. I mean, I know COVID and all those kinds of things restricted stuff, but it opened up the door for him. Now he was starting a few games. I don't know. He probably still is starting, just making the best impact that he can. I've been talking to Calvin a little bit, like on Instagram, trying to like get like David, trying to talk to Sebastian, trying to, it's a slow process, but definitely down the line when they're available, they'll probably hopefully come through. But back, regards to you coming back now to the high school level, what led you to choose to play basketball at Lasalle Academy?
LaSalle, it was a place that when you're from Rhode Island, everybody wanted to play for, LaSalle's and Hendrickens, and it was always a dream of mine when I was younger. As I started to grow love for basketball, just seeing those guys like Calvin, he went to LaSalle. Our big bro Dexter, he went to LaSalle. Damon as well. Those are guys that kind of paved the way for guys that wanted to go to LaSalle, and yeah, it was just always a dream of mine to always go there. And so when the opportunity came, I took just full advantage of it.
All right. So you're going in like your freshman year. Did you know any of your like your teammates? Did you know any students that you went like when you first walked into the LaSalle, like your first few like days there?
Aside from my boy Elijah Perry, Elijah Perry was one of my closest friends, and aside from him, no. We went in there. We both transferred from our charter schools and went into LaSalle together. Our sophomore year, and we really didn't know much. About the culture of LaSalle. We didn't know much about the culture of the basketball of LaSalle. We was just two guys who was growing love for the game and, coming into a situation where, it was going to take a big opportunity for us to really get going early. So.
Right. So, so you grew up, so Paul Cuffey is a high school and a middle school, right?
Yeah, it's high school and middle school. I didn't go there for middle school. I only went there for my freshman year.
So what middle school did you go to?
I went to Bishop McVinney for 6th grade, and then I finished out 7th and 8th grade at Del Sesto Middle School.
And that's in Providence, right?
Public school right in Providence. Yeah.
Right. So now coming from, so it was, you said it was a public school?
Yeah.
So now, yeah. So coming from like a public school now to like the private school setting, how easy it was, well, how easy or hard was it for you to like adjust to one, the system, like in practices and stuff the first couple of days, and two, like the school system itself?
It was very different.
Yeah.
I feel like um, public school has a lot of potential when it comes to their students. Um, where I feel like when you go to Catholic school, you have no choice but to like exceed. You have no choice. Like it's just so hard when you have such kids who are driven around you. You know, small class settings, teachers and counselors who are really hounding you about really getting your work done and really being successful. So I would say that was the biggest adjustment I had to make, as far as being a public school where they encourage it, but they don't really enforce it as much as they probably should.
Right.
That was probably the biggest adjustment. I would say it was for the better, obviously. Um, but yeah, that was just the biggest change I would probably say.
So what would you say, like, in regards to like basketball, like first few days of practice and stuff like that?
My first 3 days at Salle practice was tough. Coming from Paul Cuffey, I was I've grown into becoming one of the leaders of the team as a freshman, whereas I'm going into LaSalle as a sophomore with a bunch of seniors who are on the same mission as you. So
Yep.
when that kind of group comes together, they're seniors. It's their last go around. So in practices is from a physical aspect, they're different. I'm the skinny sophomore coming into practice playing with these seniors. So it was an adjustment at the time. I would say it was an adjustment that took a little bit, but I've figured it out.
So your freshman year, you weren't at LaSalle, you were at a different school?
Yeah, I was at Paul Cuffey my freshman year.
Paul Cuffey. Did you play ball at Paul Cuffey?
Yeah.
Yeah, and then you transferred over to LaSalle your sophomore year. So once you were in the system at LaSalle, like you said, first couple of days and stuff like that, how long was it before you were named a starter?
So the transfer rule was in effect, so I had to sit out 9 games. So I was just at first it was real hard to really deal with that, sitting down 9 games and still having to practice and still having to be around the team and stuff. That was a little bit of adjustment for me. But as soon as I came back, I'll probably took maybe a game or two.
Coming now from like a game aspect as a player, can you remember a game either early on or like late in your like LaSalle career where that you might have not been like where you were like struggling and you were kind of like in your own head, like struggling in all aspects of the game and you couldn't get it going?
Yeah, it was a lot of games like that. A lot of games. When you put a lot of pressure on yourself, you're gonna have some games. You're gonna have some mental lapses. Like basketball is a game of emotion. I mean, you're gonna go through every emotion possible when you're playing this game. So I just had to understand that, and it took me a little while for me to understand that there's gonna be some highs and some lows, but how you react to them lows is what's gonna make you stay at that high level. So it took me a little while, but there was quite a few games where I found myself in my own head and not really being as locked in as I probably should have been.
Can you name one like in particular?
I'll probably say the Hendricken game for sure. One of the Hendricken games, my first Hendricken game, it was at LaSalle. It was packed, sold out. And my first few shots I'm taking, they're not going through. You know what I mean? And with the crowd and just the heat of the moment, it's kind of hard to. If you get checked out at any given time, it's going to be tough for you to get reeled back in. So I was just checked out for the majority of that game. Once I realized that my shot wasn't falling. But the older me would have told the younger me, just to stay locked in and try to figure out another way to impact the game, and it don't have to be scoring. So
Right. So you saying that that's happened like a couple of games. How well has that helped you like going forward now in the rest of your career?
It's helped me tremendously. Even games now, I've had a couple lapses, few bad games, and I don't really dwell on it. How I respond to those type of games is what's gonna make me into the player that I want to be. So I just try not to dwell on it too much. I just try to just keep on pushing forward, keep on grinding, and just stay the course.
Exactly, for sure. And so kind of going back to to your the whole career at Lasalle, did you ever win a ring at Lasalle?
No,
No. So you never won a ring. Wow, I thought I don't know why I thought you did. So you graduated in 2019, right?
no. So I spent 2 years at LaSalle. So I went from Paul Cuffey my freshman year, LaSalle sophomore, junior year. I went to Springfield Commonwealth for a prep school year,
Right.
and then I finished out at Springfield Commonwealth, and I graduated in 2020.
So you stayed right. So I know you went to the Springfield Commonwealth. That was your senior year, and you spent another year too, like undergrad year.
Yeah.
Okay, so let me see. So like I said, taking a look at some highlights. I don't know how tall you were in high school and stuff like that, but I'm guessing still close to the 6'7" height you're at right now. But being that tall, having that length and that wingspan, how did you develop such a smooth, consistent jump shot on top of all the athleticism that you bring on both ends of the floor?
Just time.
Yeah.
It's a lot of time. I'm blessed to have a great trainer in Nick Correa. Constantly pushing me, constantly helping me grow mentally, physically, emotionally. So it just took time. That's all it really did. It just took time and just consistent work, just trusting my work ethic and just trusting the process. But I would just say that that's all it takes is just time.
Right.
My height, I wasn't really too worried about growing up. I have uncles who's 6'5" and up, grandfather 6'7". So, height just runs in my blood. So I wasn't really too worried about the height. But just keep working on my game before I even got the height. And then, as you grow, you just continue to just keep on getting better.
Yeah, and having that energy and stuff like that. What do you feel like the most, I guess, memorable moment altogether in your high school experiences from LaSalle, Paul Cuffey, and in Springfield as well?
Definitely winning the championship at Springfield. My first year was very rocky. I really questioned a lot of things my first year at prep school. Sometimes you ask yourself, are you really supposed to be here? You didn't win that many games. Probably won about 9 games out of the 29 or maybe the 30 games that we played. So it was very rough. I've had countless conversations with my mom asking her, this is the right fit. This is something I should really be doing. And, she just used to tell me to stay the course. So my following year, bringing in guys that my coach had brought in at the time, we just gelled so well together, especially with, guys from Providence like Enoch Cheeks,
Yeah.
coming with me. That just helped a lot. And then just building that bond first caused us to really win that championship. So that was probably my most memorable moment. And to this day, I can call every single one of those guys on that roster, and we laugh it up like we just saw each other yesterday. So I'll probably say that's the best experience I've probably had.
Right. That's probably why I was confused, because I knew you were in a ring in your high school experience, but I wasn't sure if it was with LaSalle or with Springfield. But backtracking a little bit, what made you decide you wanted to go to Springfield to finish out your high school career?
Just opportunity. I just knew that I had torn my ACL going into my junior year, and I just knew I needed to get that year back that I missed, that time that I missed out on. And Springfield, when it put it in itself, I just took it. It was probably the best opportunity for me at the time. So I'll probably say that, just getting my time back from when I tore my ACL.
Yeah, exactly. So what were the type of teams you guys played that year as far as matchup wise in comparison to your team's talent?
We played everybody. We played Hargrave Military Academy. We played IMG, Brewster. You name it, we played them. My coach was adamant about us going out and playing the best of the best. And I think that over time, when you play that kind of level, that level of competition, you have no choice but to play up to your competition. And that caused us to, when we play good teams that aren't as good as Brewster and stuff like that, it just caused us to not play down our competition, always want to be the best. So that really helped us.
So yeah, as far as you said opportunities, it's just a better opportunity for you. So you didn't get were you getting any college offers at LaSalle, or it started kind of more when you started playing with Springfield?
I started more that summer, that AAU summer, and going into my first prep school year. That's when the offers started to come rolling in. I would say mainly AAU that summer.
Right. So do you remember the kinds of offers you were getting? What types of levels they were at, division wise?
Yeah, I had about five Division I offers, and can't even count how many Division II offers I had, but I had 5 Division Ones. Bryant, CCSU, Fairleigh Dickinson, Wagner, UMass Lowell. So, that was that at the time. And then the D2 started coming in. And I had just so many I can't even remember. To be honest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So going back a little bit, I keep going back, but I like to ask like all like the athletes that come on, what was like your first taste of college basketball, maybe being in like a college arena, like a college atmosphere before you like officially signed or like, committed to SNHU?
Like I said, my family's always been around, been active in college sports. So
Right.
going to games and, going to URI game, PC games, just the atmosphere, that's something, that's a feeling that you really can't describe, so.
Have you ever played like on a college court before committing?
Yeah, we played at we played at, Springfield College, played at UMass, we played at quite a few schools, that give you that college atmosphere.
Right. So now after all these offers came in, you have all this experience under your plate. What made you decide you wanted to go to SNHU?
Just the love that they gave me. I wanted to go to a place where, I was wanted, where I was needed as well. SNHU, they just opened me with welcome arms. They gave me a real family atmosphere. And like I said, like it's just, that's what it comes down to, just having that family atmosphere and really growing with some guys that, that you can relate to. And it was just a good opportunity for me. It's not too far from home, but also further enough away for me to be my own man. So.
No, of course. And now, like, this is your first year going in. You're already the team's leading scorer, about like 17 points a game, averaging almost a double-double with 7 rebounds. So, like, has the college experience been so far for you? And what was it like I said, like your first few days in?
It was an adjustment for him. Just from the amount of focus you have to keep in practice from start to finish. If you have the slightest bit of off body language, you're getting checked on it.
Yeah.
Being locked in, and just the attention to detail is very crucial, I would say. I would say that, getting up for class, along with maintaining, classes on top of maintaining practice and travel and, games and stuff, home games and things like that. It was definitely an adjustment for me. Very different from high school.
Right.
But,
So like now similar to like I mentioned earlier about going into Lasalle, only really knowing one person, like you said, whole new atmosphere, whole new teammates. So kind of like a similar question from before, how was that those first few days of practice, those first few days of adjusting to like the system and the school itself?
it was very different. I would say it was a challenge in the beginning. You don't know people. You don't know people's strengths. You don't know people's weaknesses. So you don't really know what you're really getting yourself into. It's just like starting your first day at school. You just don't know, who anybody is. You don't know where things are. But it was definitely a challenge. I think from where we were at in September to where we are now, I can honestly say like we've grown so much as a group. And I think we have a better understanding of each other. And I think we're a lot more comfortable. We have a lot of work to do from now into the second half of the season. But I think with the group of guys that we have, I think we're ready.
So definitely like, talking to all these college athletes, like transition has been the number one thing for everybody coming into like a different school and stuff like that. So it's good to hear that it was easy for you to kind of adjust and to kind of like mesh with your teammates. As far as, like you said, you didn't know any of them. It's just a new atmosphere and stuff like that. Like we were talking last night, I know your next 2 games coming up are already postponed because of COVID. But your most recent win against Dominican College in New York, 84-79, you had 19 points, along with 6 rebounds, 3 steals. Take me through like your mindset on what it's like going into a college game. How do you prepare for one? The types of film you have to watch to prep, and just like your mindset throughout like the whole course of the game.
The prep for a game. Dominican, they were the number 1 team in the region. So going into that game, it was very, very intense. That we could practice was very focused. A lot of people's focus. We had this, the attention to detail had to be there. it was through the roof. So we had to really stay locked in for that one. And then driving 4 hours on the road to go to New York to play them in their home environment was an adjustment. Same day trip, not a hotel. So same day trip, leaving at 9 a.m. and getting up there. And the atmosphere of Dominican, they got some great fans. And it was an adjustment. First half I only had 2 points, and that's just that shit doesn't show. And it was a rough game in the beginning for me, but my coaches and my teammates just told me stay the course, and just trust the work that I put in, and we were able to come out on top, and that was the biggest thing for us. That was a big one for us.
What has been like throughout this whole season, like the toughest like matchup that you guys have had this season? Would you say like Dominican would be the toughest matchup so far?
I feel like every game we go into is a tough one. Our conference is so competitive. You can lose a game in the last 2 minutes, in the last minute. We've lost quite a few games, up 7 with a minute and a half to go, or up 5 with 35 seconds left, and we lost, But, you just got to stay locked in for the whole game. So our conference is very competitive. I wouldn't really key in on one specific game. I feel like every game we go into is a tough one.
Right. And, progressing throughout the season, what have you found that you have to, like, for yourself to improve on, like, the most, like things maybe, you've been struggling with a little bit, or things that you feel like you could work on more to make your game, like, complete?
I would probably just say just putting 2 halves together. I've probably had about 1 or 2 games where I put 2 complete halves of basketball together.
Yeah.
It's just the course of the game. First half, I've been struggling in the first half of games, but second half is where I usually pick it up. But I just gotta start learning how to put 2 halves of basketball together.
Yeah, for sure. That'll definitely come, like I said, first year as a college athlete, that's going to come throughout the whole experience. But to kind of wrap everything up with this year, with the second half of your freshman year approaching, what are you hoping to accomplish throughout your college career for yourself and for your team as well?
A ring. That's what we're aiming for, man. It's just a ring. And go as far as we can in March. That's the biggest thing for us. I think that, like I said, we have the group of guys that do it. We have the athleticism. We have the character, to get it done. So I really think that's what we're really chasing. We're just chasing the ring the second half, and just trying to better ourselves mentally, throughout this second half, especially with so much uncertainty going on. You don't know what can happen, with COVID going on. So we just trying to stay as prepared as possible.
Right. Every single college athlete I've talked to is like always mentions a ring. Like the ring is like always, like, obviously, of course, like the drive for doing all this. You just want to have that experience, and it's an experience in itself. You know what I mean? You just got to keep, like you said, grinding and pushing forward, and it's gonna happen for sure. So looking forward at your schedule. Your next game is January 2nd at Stonehill. Hopefully, nothing gets postponed, anything like that. I'm definitely trying to tune in, maybe even make the ride for sure. But that kind of wraps up everything I got going on, Aaron. Thank you for taking the time out of your schedule to come hop on the podcast with me. I hope you enjoyed yourself. But before I let you go, what were your impressions on the show? How did you like it? And who might you want to see next as a featured guest?
Man, I just think we need stuff like this. Rhode Island definitely need stuff like this. I think that Rhode Island's taking a step in the right direction. I'm starting to see more and more guys doing video high schools, and a lot more guys on podcasts like the Rhodey Run Back and stuff like that. So I think it's very important that you guys are doing something like this. It's definitely good for the culture of Rhode Island. And I enjoyed myself, man. I really did. Probably one person I want to see on here, quite a few guys. I mean, Tedrick, Enoch, Tyler. So I think, I don't want to leave nobody out. Let me see.
They definitely got to try to get in contact for sure. Like, trying to get in contact any people, even like I said earlier, David Duke. Like, it's tough. It's tough, obviously, but I know it's all about who you know. So, but yeah, man. Again, appreciate you coming on, my man, for sure. I'll keep in touch. Good luck the rest of the season. Again, appreciate the time, bro.
Appreciate you, man.